Welcome to Positive Vibes and my first reaction video. Today we will look at memes and posts from Pinterest that explore mental health. Please note I am only offering my opinion on these posts and I am not a licensed professional. I hope that this video will give people food for thought and work to spread awareness. Tired is not an emotion. It's a state of your nervous system. You may be overwhelmed, lacking self-care, dehydrated, preoccupied or unfocused, overscheduled, stagnant or avoidant, not sleeping well or enough, nervous, worried, anxious, lacking boundaries, not eating well or enough, emotional or hormonal, or overstimulated. Before I was diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum, my go-to phrase whenever I wanted to go home was, "I'm tired." I didn't have the knowledge or experience to look within myself to know why I felt ready to leave, just that I needed to get home. Now I can better express myself with, "I've been away from home all day and need to get to my safe space to unwind," or "I had a really busy week at work and haven't had the ability to just sit on my couch doing nothing for days." So if you find yourself in a constant state of tired, stop for a moment and try to figure out what your body is really trying to tell you. If you consider yourself self-aware, but only acknowledge the things you need to change and not the things you do really well, you aren't self-aware, you're just being mean to yourself. This hits me pretty hard. It may seem honest to point out your flaws and egotistical to point out your strengths, but life is about balance. You are not just your mistakes or just your successes. You are an amalgamation of them both. Something that my husband finds frustrating is that I can't just accept a compliment. I have to counter it with something negative, such as him saying the food I made was delicious, and I tack on that the consistency is a little off and I can try to do better next time. Now, I grant you that this is taking the balance of good and bad a little too literally, but that is just one quirky way my autism is expressed. The San Francisco therapist kept telling me I shouldn't be terrified of creative experimentation. "I don't know what's going to come out of me," I told her. "It has to be perfect. It has to be irreproachable in every way." "Why?" she said. "To make up for it," I said. "To make up for the fact that it's me." This is similar to the last meme, but it also shows how gaslighting can affect your self-confidence. If you are constantly told you aren't good enough or always receiving criticism, you can lose faith in your ability to do anything right or well. This can be from an abusive person attacking your character, a parent or partner who can never be pleased by your achievements, from friends who always belittle you or constantly try to outcompete you, or even from yourself. Depression and anxiety can very easily make yourself believe that you are worth less than those around you. In instances where you constantly compare yourself to others and judge yourself by their accomplishments, try instead to reposition the goalpost. Compare yourself to yourself instead. Did your casserole taste better than it did last time? Has your ability to draw improved since last year? My anxiety has a loophole that if somebody else is equally or more uncomfortable, I develop the sudden ability to do the thing. I can't go and ask for more ketchup for myself, but if my friend wants more ketchup, I'm out of my seat in a second. The mom-friend override. This is a strange phenomenon to experience, especially if you are usually not one to volunteer yourself, but suddenly feel the urge to do something you're uncomfortable with to help a friend. Perhaps the mom-friend override is the best way to explain it. If someone you care about has more anxiety or fear about something than you are compelled to help them because you have that relationship with them. Humans are a social species, and there is that instinct to help those you care about. Self-destruction doesn't always look like taking too many pills or your skin open. Sometimes it's drinking coffee when you know caffeine gives you panic attacks. Sometimes it's crossing the street without looking both ways. Sometimes it's showering with the water a little too hot. Sometimes it's avoiding eye contact with your reflection in the mirror or ridiculing your problems rather than addressing them. Sometimes it's walking out without sunscreen in scorching heat and not wearing enough when it's freezing out. Self-destruction isn't always physical mutilation. Mostly it's masked as little things, so never assume what someone may be going through just because they don't show you visible signs of suffering. Perhaps it feels more acceptable to hurt yourself in little ways that are less dangerous than doing one big thing that can kill you, but you are still causing yourself harm. Death by 1,000 cuts, so to speak. It can be very hard to give yourself grace, and people are often their own worst critics. Try to be a little kinder to yourself and see past all of your perceived faults. Feeling dismissed by someone important to us can be a serious trigger for complex trauma survivors. It's more than feeling invisible. It's feeling we are seen, we're just not important enough to take seriously. Yeah, that'll bring us back to some not great places. As someone on the autism spectrum, it is hard for me to read body language, so I often miss cues about the tone in the room, or my humor doesn't land the way I expected it to. It's too easy to let the intrusive thoughts of, I'm just a bother, or they don't really care if I'm here or not, begin to creep in when it seems like everyone else is communicating just fine, and you struggle to keep up or contribute to the conversation. How to validate yourself when you're dealing with difficult emotions. Pause. Take a few deep breaths. Place your hands over your heart. Notice it. Notice how you're feeling in this moment. Notice how it feels in your body. Name it. Give the emotion a name. Say, this is sadness, or this is fear. Allow it. Allow the emotion to be present without resisting it or pushing it away. Validate it. Grant yourself permission to feel the way that you do without judgment. Say, this has been a really challenging time for me. Remind yourself. Remind yourself that your emotional reactions are based on your past and your lived experiences. Resist justifying it. Know that your emotions are valid even if others don't understand or tell you that you shouldn't feel that way. This can seem like a lot of steps to take when you're in the middle of feeling a strong emotion like grief or anger. I think some of the steps are a little more intuitive than others, like naming your current emotion or allowing yourself to just live in the emotion, but it makes sense that you have to do more than that, or you get stuck just feeling anxious or afraid in a situation. For me, I would have to have this list printed out or set as my phone's background, or I won't even remember what the steps are. Perhaps even practicing these steps when you're feeling less intense emotions, like happiness or surprise, will help your brain learn how to validate stronger emotions when you're in a more stressful situation. My therapist just said, kids are very resilient. And I said, why do all adults need therapy then? And she just looked into the middle distance for a bit and seemed to reassess quite a lot of things. Kids seem resilient because their brains need to put all the bad stuff away for later, and later is when they're adults. This hits hard when you stop to think about it. We're told that teenagers are always moody, depressed, and combative, and those that aren't are the exception. What if the actual life stage that sits between childhood and adulthood is actually so stressful that teenagers are almost compelled to respond with strong emotions or react like they're living with trauma? We teach children to get back in the saddle when they fall. We tell them to stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. It's as if they're not allowed to feel fear or shame after a failure, or express anger or sadness when they're asked to do something they don't want to do. Instead of teaching children how to feel their emotions and then move past them in a healthy manner, We teach them to ignore their feelings and even berate them for showing emotions that are considered improper. Then, as children age towards adulthood, they haven't learned how to regulate their emotions in a healthy manner, and we put yet more pressure on them with words like, act your age, as if emotions beyond happiness or anger don't exist for adults. More complex emotions get brushed off and swept under the rug until they reach a breaking point. Then they have a mental breakdown that seemingly comes out of nowhere, but is just all of their pent-up fear, anxiety, and sadness finally spilling out. It's easier for someone to learn healthy emotional regulation first, instead of trying to unlearn bad habits later. Well, thank you for taking time to watch this. I hope something here offered you a new perspective or at least a moment of reflection. If you're struggling, I hope that I helped you feel a little less alone. Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Have conversations with others to spread awareness and compassion. These topics aren't always popular, but they matter. Please take care of yourselves.